Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy here, also known as ETCG1 on this here channel. And here in ETCG1 we like to wish you a happy birthday if it's your birthday. So if it's your birthday, happy birthday. I know that's a lot of words I just threw at you and I just keep poking my head and I kind of wonder why I'm doing that. I'm going to start off with an apology with this video. And for those of you not familiar with the situation and what this video is in response to, it's in response to many of the comments that were made to my last video about my experience of going to the Honda dealership to get the airbag inflator replaced because it was under recall in my 2004 Honda Element sitting there behind me. The apology is because I was not clear in my last video, and as a result there was some miscommunication and there was some misinterpretation of the things that I said. I'd like to take this opportunity to clarify those things. So if you watched the last video and you didn't have issue, I apologize for putting you through this again, but for those of you that had issue and made comment, I'm going to respond to those comments here. Summary of the entire event is I took that in for the airbag replacement, I dropped it off. Honestly, the service writer that I talked to, I didn't quite like from the get-go. I was trying to be as low maintenance a customer as possible, knowing having been on the other side, having been in the working at the dealership and having to do recalls and stuff like that, knowing that it's basically a no money option. The best hope you have of making a day of it is looking for other things on the vehicle that you could possibly sell that could make up for the fact that you've lost money on a warranty repair. It's kind of the game you play with flat rate. Anyway, I declined an inspection, I declined a car wash, I just wanted my airbag inflator and that's it. I'd forgotten at the time. I did not remember that I had repaired the hood latch. Brian had broken the hood latch. People keep accusing me of breaking the hood latch, giving them a broken hood latch. Well, I did not break the hood latch, Brian broke it. All accidentally. He didn't do it on purpose, and neither did the people at the dealership. Okay, I want to put that out there right now. I'm not blaming them for breaking something that was already broken. As many of you have pointed out, the cable was already broken. Now this is where I take exception to some of the comments saying things like your shoddy repair. Speaking about my repair of the hood cable, I take exception to that, and I'm going to call you a hypocrite because I posted a video about Q-Bond, which is what I use to make that repair, and everybody sang its praises is there. I can build engine blocks with Q-Bond. It's great stuff. So when it suits you, you are all about it. But when it suits you to knock somebody down, well, you take that opportunity. It was Q-Bond that I used, and no, it didn't hold. I thought it would. It was holding for some time. In fact, so much so, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it when I dropped the truck off at the Honda dealership. I didn't think to mention it. I didn't think to mention it for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'd forgotten about it. Second of all, I've done airbag replacements in the past, and I never took the time to open the hood and disconnect the battery. Is disconnecting the battery the proper procedure? I would say yes. One small thing about that though, when you disconnect the battery, the radio code goes out, so you have to put the radio code back in, and according to procedure, you're also supposed to write down all the customer's radio stations and reprogram all those radio stations into that radio. In addition, you got to reset the clock. You're a flat rate technician getting paid nothing to do a job. You don't really do many extra things if you don't have to, and I found that I didn't have to disconnect the battery. Yes, the horn did go off as I was either taking the airbag out or putting it in, and was it annoying to my fellow technicians? Yes, but their flatulence sometimes annoyed me, and it was a way of getting back. And everybody did it. We all did it. We all were looking for the quickest way to get from point A to point B, get our flags out there so we could get paid. That's the game. That's the flat rate game. I assumed incorrectly that they wouldn't need to open the hood. I was wrong. Not everybody does things like I do. They don't have to. I don't insist that anybody does. I just didn't think of it. Had I thought of it, never would have had that problem. This is my issue about that entire situation. It wasn't that the cable was broken. Yes, I will admit, the cable was broken before I brought it to them and I repaired it. So they technically didn't break it. I can see that point, all right? But my issue was with the phone conversation that I had with that service writer when they called me after I got back home and basically started in with me and just started in with a tone that was kind of like, sir, you're a a-hole for bringing us this thing with a broken hood latch. And if you expect to get anything for this, well, screw you. That was the tone that I perceived was coming from that service writer, and that's what was the problem. Had he started the conversation with, I'm sorry, sir, but there was an issue while we were doing the airbag replacement on your vehicle. It appears that your hood latch broke, and it looks like it had been previously repaired. At that point, I would have been like, you know what, crap. I forgot to mention that, sorry. I would have been disarmed. I would not have gone on the defensive like I did. And I'd take responsibility for that. I should have been the bigger person and not done that. But I gotta tell you, I don't like taking my vehicle in anywhere. I mean, doctors make the worst patients, don't they? Well, that's the way I felt. I mean, I can do an airbag inflator recall, but I'm not sanctioned by Honda to do so. So the only option I had to do that was to take it into the dealership. And I reluctantly did it. I don't let other people work on my cars unless I trust them. And these are people I don't know. So if I don't know them, I don't trust them. I don't trust anybody until I know. My issue was with the service writer and how I was treated. Initially, when I got that first phone conversation with him, it would have been great if he would have just started with an apology. That would have disarmed me. I've done videos about this. You broke it, now what? And I linked in the description to the last video, and I'll link them in this one. But it's about taking care of the customer. And sometimes you have to give the customer, even if they're wrong, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt just for good customer relations. And I talked about what you do with the bad customers in that instance, where if you get somebody who's basically trying to scam you, trying to work you over, I give it away that time. And then when I hand them the keys and they pay their bill or whatever at the end of the exchange, I say, okay, thank you very much for your business, but don't ever come back here again. That's what I do with those people. I fire the customers. I fire the bad customers and they don't come back. Now, at the dealership, that's not necessarily an option. But what I'm saying is, at the time, give them the benefit of the doubt till it frickin' hurts. But don't put myself in that situation again. So you win this round, but you know what? There ain't gonna be a next time. You're not gonna take advantage of me again. I know that there are customers out there that are like that just wanna take advantage of you, that are just loud, rude, obnoxious, have no respect for what you do. Do you really think that I'm one of those people? Do you really think that I would go to the dealership and try and scam them out of a $20 hood cable? Do you really think I need to do that? Well, it just so happens, I know one of the people in that parts department that I've known for the past 15 years. I also know the parts manager there. They have me in their computer system as a shop. I get a slight discount as it is. It's not a full discount, but it's a slight discount. It is a discount. I don't pay full retail, let's put it that way. So if I don't have to pay full retail on a $20 hood cable, I'm good. Even if I had to pay full retail on a $20 hood cable, that's not the issue. The issue is when you're dealing with a customer and something went wrong during repair, you don't start out with, you're an a-hole customer and I'm gonna treat you like an a-hole customer and I'm just really having a bad day and you just happen to be on the phone right now. That's the way I felt. That was my issue. Not that the hood cable got broke or any of that kind of stuff. Once again, I will admit, hood cable was broke when I bought it in, all right? I did not expect them to give me a new hood cable, but I was looking for some form of compensation, some way to leverage the situation to where I felt like there was a mutual agreement in the end. And there was. They sold me. I bought a new hood cable at a little over cost. That's the way it ended up being. I'm satisfied with that. I was also satisfied after I sat down with the service manager and explained the situation. I'm like, look, I had a real problem with this guy I was talking to on the phone. And I'm not the type of person to come in and just be like this. I'm not like this. What can we do? And his first thing was, all right, well, we'll sell you the hood cable for a little over cost. And I was fine hearing it from him. He didn't start out accusing me of anything. He sat down and listened to me. That's all it took. One more thing I'd like to add into this video is that since I posted the last video about my experience at Honda, American Honda actually reached out to me via Twitter and tried to make things right. And that's something I appreciate very much. And I'd also like to put out there that Honda in general is not the issue. This is basically, I had an issue with somebody that was having a bad day. All right, fine. I'll take it as that. I'm not saying that they're always like that or whatever, but Honda tried to make it right. And well, in the end, that service writer and I ended up shaking hands and parting ways after I bought my cable and all the stuff was all blown over. So I'll take my responsibility and my part in the situation. But it all got resolved in the end, and that's that. So all of you that made comments, I appreciate all of your input, but as far as the way things worked out, everybody worked towards a solution to this in the end. Yeah, there was an incident that happened, stuff happens, but everybody worked towards a solution. In the end, there was a solution. I'm walking away happy. So I have to put that out there. Bringing all this back together, All right, that was a bad experience for me, and I learned not to make videos when I'm upset like that because I missed some key points. But I've had some time to think about this, and this was my takeaway from that whole situation. As I left that dealership, I thought, you know, a lot of the people that watch my show, especially the Eric the Car Guy show, are people that have dealt with this or, you know, do deal with this every time they take their vehicle somewhere. And they're probably a lot like me in that they don't really want to let it out of their hands. They want to do most of the stuff that they can possibly do, but there's some things they just can't. So they go to channels like mine and other channels, South Main Auto Repair, Chris Fix, Scotty Kilmer. You know, there are lots of us out there now that do this, that try to offer you advice and help on these types of repairs. When I started the channel, that's who I wanted to help. But you know, over time, I'm doing the channel, and then there's the business of the channel, and I become more and more wrapped up in other things besides that stuff that happens on the ground level. Because of that, that gives me sort of a new perspective, a new mission, if you will, with my Eric the Car Guy channel. And that I can take that experience and say, you know what? I can really help these people. I can help them better understand what might be happening. I might even make it so that they don't have to take it in someplace and they can repair it themselves. And that's what I'm taking away from all this. First, don't make videos when I'm mad anymore. And second, that I have a newfound perspective and a newfound understanding for the fans of Eric the Car Guy and ETCG1. And I plan to take that moving forward and do something positive with it. We'll start with a hood cable replacement on the Element when I finally get a chance to get around to it. There's so many other things to fix around here right now. The cobbler's son goes without shoes, as they say. I'll eventually get to it, and we'll do that. I have the cable here. But I hope that clarifies my position, and I hope, you know, that those of you that had accused me of all kinds of stuff, and especially, you know, thievery or just trying to screw the dealership over, for those of you accusing me of that, well, I probably shouldn't have paid attention to those comments anyway, but some people did bring up some valid points. And some people felt that I wasn't even owed an apology for bringing them something that was already broken. Fair enough. But the issue to me is how I was treated at the onset. Had I been treated differently, I would have never made that other video and this one. So I'm gonna cut this one off here and not take up any more of your time, but I want to thank you for watching. If you have automotive questions, ericthecarguy.com, there's a link in the description. There's links in the description to a bunch of stuff, so please check there if you have questions. But automotive questions, I'd ask you head over to ericthecarguy.com, welcome video there. If you wish to connect with me socially, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, also Instagram, and I close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.